Welcome back, and there you can see the final is in progress. We see on our screens Alexander Grischuk, who has been an absolute stalwart for Kazchaz. He's got the white pieces against Alireza Firouzja. So we're going to dive straight in and have a look at how the game has progressed.
It's a lovely Najdorf.
I know, and it looks like a Sozin variation, one that former world champion Bobby Fischer liked to employ a long time ago.
Well, I mean, yeah, with the bishop on c4, it looks like it, but actually started off with the good old bishop g5 variation. And Alireza has played this knight d7 move, which is extremely sharp, really uncompromising. And after bishop c4, queen b6, so this is a very trendy variation. And after bishop b3, e6, bishop comes out, and knight c5. So it takes a little bit of rearranging. The queen needs to come back. And then he starts the queenside counterplay with rook b8. And white has this pawn storm on the king side. Black looks to open up the queen side with b4 and rook takes b4. So incredibly sharp position with both players attacking. You know, I'm more used to playing these kind of positions with black. You know, I just look at b4 and think, well, you're opening lines. You're hitting that bishop. You can always hack that off if necessary. But I don't know, which side would you naturally gravitate towards?
None.
Neither. You don't.
Too wild, too chaotic.
Okay.
I don't want any of this when I play chess. And so we're seeing the rook move there from Alireza. That's actually a new move according to my database.
Okay.
It was a lot more common actually to lift up the light squared bishop and get ready to support an advance on the queen side. But rook to e8, unexpected. And now the big question, and this is the thing what I always think about, just pawn storm. Lift up the h-pawn, and sure enough it gets pushed, and then now black has to do the same because both sides are just looking to blast open a line. That's all that is needed for the heavy forces, the heavy pieces to infiltrate.
Interesting decision. You know, does black allow this pawn to come to h6, which would also to some extent undermine the position of the knight on f6? Or is he not going to? I mean, h6 looks kind of crazy.
It's just one of the things with h6 is that, to my eyes, you just slide back the bishop and then you just blast open with g4, g5. You know, you bring open, you know, blast open the line, and then suddenly the rooks are in, the queen is in, and that's it. Good night.
Yep, I would certainly go along with that.
And one of the things...
Got to be tricky.
One of the things that I was taught... Oh, he goes h6. Wow. Well, what has Alireza got in mind? Because he was afraid. I mean, one of the things I was taught is that the pawns on f7, g7, and h7, they are the perfect defense because white has to work very hard to open up a line.
But I think what he wants to do is... Okay, the bishop has come back. So, yeah, Grischuk, of course, would like to play g5.
Or next move. So black has to do something immediately now. Also, he goes to blockade it, but there we're seeing trade of the pieces. But, well, what is stopping white from going f4, g5? Power through.
It certainly doesn't look bad, yeah. I mean, now I would prefer to be white, yeah, definitely. But there is counterplay with b4, just cracking things open.
Well, he goes for it, f4, and now Alireza has to be on red alert here because g5 is coming.
I think that's what's nice about white's position is that, you know, those moves are pretty easy to play, and it's black that has to actually find ways to counter it. It's a very natural plan.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, though, if you make the same kind of moves, if you go b4, we're actually not hitting anything because the knight on d4 is such a great defender of b3. Whereas g5 comes with so much power, and I cannot stress that enough. Black's king just doesn't have too many defenders. And there we see bishop b7, so calm. He's just saying, hey, I got my eyes on e4.
Yeah, and if g5,
Well-
then it's going to be taken. So I guess you could just defend it. Or queen e3.
But you know, the situation is getting critical, both on the board and on the clock for Ali Reza, as he only has now got less than 20 seconds.
He's played rook e1 to defend the e-pawn, but the knight has switched back to attack again. And Grischuk has sacrificed the e-pawn and wants to open up the g-file without delay.
Okay, well, now it's a bit tricky because this bishop is amazing on e4 and you've got ideas of going e5. And there we see the rook coming forward. How is Ali Reza going to defend with seconds left? White just wants to double up on the G line.
But that is such a tremendous piece on e4, anchored by the pawn on d5. Yeah, I hear you. There could be a problem here. But I wonder if there's counterplay or, f5, f6 rather, to defend along the second rank.
Absolutely. And there we see...
There it goes.
Is the reaction of Ali Reza. He's playing so quickly now.
I love that bishop on e4. And yes, there is counterplay on the c-file. So somehow Ali Reza has turned things around.
Yeah, this is a nice move from Alexander Grischuk. Just getting out of the pin of the bishop. And now I thought the king might run to the other end of the board. And there we are seeing this position is razor sharp.
Queen e3. The nice thing about these pawns and the knight is that the king is pretty safe on a2. So we've got an exchange on e5. Queen takes, centralizing the queen.
Beautiful. And we're going to see breakthrough.
Oh, knight c6. What happens if that's taken? Then
wow.
Rook takes, and there was queen h6. And the rook defends along the sixth rank.
Grischuk doesn't have too much time, so he's looking. How can he generate some play?
He's got seconds left. He's a piece down. He needs something huge.
He can't find it. He just throws in a check.
And queen g5. Wow. But there's no clear threat. Oh!
That is beautiful. Queen takes rook. And
he's come back. Is it a draw? Is it going to be a draw?
Yes, it is.
So he did find something. It looks and they're going to agree a draw, I think. Ali Reza. They've... Wow. What on earth was going on at the end there? I mean, that move knight c6. And let me see, in the game between Rapport and Nakamura, Nakamura has won. He's defeated Richard Rapport.
Yep. And also it was a draw. There we can see between Andrei Sipenko and Maxim Vasiluk. Oh, no, they're still playing.
Oh, we've got some kind of dispute. What's going on here? They've stopped the clocks. And I think Maxim is claiming a draw. That he's saying if he plays rook d4, it'll repeat the position for the third time. And I think the arbiter, this might have to go to VAR.
Yeah.
They're going to check the video to see if this repeats for the third time. Yep. They've got the video coming in to check.
And we can also see we got a glimpse of the scoreboard. We see that WR chess, they are 2 points up.
And Alexander Kostyniuk has a queen and pawn against rook and knight. So, well, she has some winning chances. Tough to win because actually white is very well coordinated here. But there is a chance. So this is not easy for Kamalidnova.
No, and yeah, this is the issue that the rook and the knight, they are beautifully anchored together, and the black king is just not making any inroads.
Yep.
Maybe time to bring in the king.
King sticking closer, but yeah, f4. I mean.
Okay, now making progress.
A little bit.
Now the king can work its magic around.
Yeah, if he can get in here and come into g3, then the king is doing something.
Okay, she's thrown in a few checks. She has to keep an eye over the d5 pawn.
I think this could be a Zugzwang position, actually.
Okay.
I think that was the right route. I think she should have stuck to her guns and gone to play the king into g3. I think that was possible, actually.
Okay, now the king moves backwards. She still has time.
Also good. Also good.
This is good. Now the rook can't sit on d4. And she can freely advance the d4 pawn. And then she's getting ready. Well, actually, you can't advance the d4 pawn. The pawn. And this doesn't impact the standings because it was a draw between Yesipenko and Maxim Vachilegrov, and WR have won the match. So it's impossible to push the d pawn to d4 because white will simply capture it, and the resulting king and pawn endgame is going to be favourable for white.
I think she was on the right tack. I think you've got to bring the king round to the g5.
Well, she can do it now. She's got a lot of time now. Throw in a checks.
Yep. Now king e6.
Yep. And now the king comes forward. And this is one of the great things. They're on move 101. And now the king
Was king
was
g3
close to g3,
was
but
g3
not quite
possible?
there.
I'm not sure. King g3 might have been possible.
You've got to be careful where you put the queen. Don't allow it to be forked.
Okay, king. I still want to play king g4.
Well, and now queen lifts up. Now the king makes its way.
Ah, king g3, rook d3 check, and if it goes to h2, rook h3 was mate. That might have been the issue.
Well, black not quite making any progress. Queen can give a check. And it does seem that white's defensive construction is holding up. The d pawn can't be advanced. King sliding back.
Yeah, come on.
And in fact, they've actually played more than 50 moves without a pawn capture or a pawn move.
Could this one be going to VAR as well?
I mean, if Kamala Denova wants to claim a draw, she'd be well within her rights.
But I think WR Chess have won the match anyway.
And there the arbiter has stepped in and the game has been declared a draw. So, WR Chess team, they take the lead. Now, Kaz Chess, if they want to take it to tie breaks, they are in a must-win situation. There we can see victories for Hikaru Nakamura against Richard Rapport, and also a victory for Vadim Rosenstein against Ayten Islam. Secure victory. So, WR Chess team, 4 points. Kaz Chess, 2.
And how about the third place playoff?
Well,
let's go down to that.
There you can see it was a win for Hexamind, 3.5, 2.5. Maybe we can have a look whilst we're waiting for the teams to get ready for the second match. How did Hikaru beat Richard Rapport?
Let's have a look. Let me just find the game. Okay, if I just go from the beginning very quickly, maybe we can have the graphics board up and we'll take you through Hikaru Nakamura against Richard Rapport. So Hikaru Nakamura playing for WR Chess, of course. Here we go. We've got our board. I'm going to play through the moves very quickly before they take the board away. So it's a King's Indian. B5 from Rapport. He likes to go his own way, do things a little bit differently. Well, that's interesting. So the bishop striking across the board at the rook. Yeah, so slightly unusual position with the rook on a6, but c5 hits out at white centre. Okay, fairly balanced so far, but now we've got a situation where I wonder if Nakamura with white is starting to take control with this, one of the knight coming to d4, g5 or something.
It's looking nice, isn't it?
Let's have a look. There we go, knight d4, the blocker. And bishop g2 hits the d-pawn. e6. So now it looks like a French defense.
Except there's no dark square bishop, which is a problem, I would say.
Those weak squares.
If the queen could magically transport herself to h6.
Oh, there we go. H4,
yeah,
h4, h5. It's going. Apparently black is still okay here, but anyway.
Yeah, but on a blitz game, it's very difficult to handle this type of initiative.
Yeah, I mean, when there's a pawn on h6 like that, just restricting the king, setting up all kinds of nasty tricks. Yeah, it looks very difficult for black already. Knight d5. Okay, so queen takes, then the knight would come to f6 check. Rook takes. Well, let's just show that. With, with a strategically winning position, because the knight and pawn just dominate the king and the rook can come in here, winning position. So it went instead queen e5, knight check, knight c8. I mean, this is wacky stuff, isn't it? It's a lovely move because it blocks the rook. So that means that, excuse me, rook d8 is the threat. And it's very hard for the king to get out. Okay, so bishop d3 blocks, but now the queen comes in. Queen c7, threatening something here, and queen d8.
And you're also threatening the rook as well. You can't cover queen d8.
So these,
f7.
Yeah, those are the threats. Yeah. So game over.
Yeah. Very nice game.
Yeah, I mean,
difficult to believe it's a blitz game. Actually,
well, it's interesting at this
very
moment.
High quality.
In fact, the computer still thinks this is level, but I would say that once that pawn gets to h6, again, the computer thinks that white is only slightly better. Whereas I look at the position with the pawn on h6, and I just think this looks
on a practical level. This is
so
dangerous. Yeah.
I mean, the back rank is always weak. There's the possibility to float this knight in, as Hikaru managed to do. So yeah, Hikaru looked like he did very well there. Okay,
so we see WR chess team take the lead, and in the Hexamind in Uzbekistan battle for the third place, there it was really close, but Hexamind just edging it with 3.5 points.
I don't know if we got time to look at one more game. I've just seen the finish of the game between Abdusatorov and Aronian.
Yeah. So let's take it from the critical points.
Okay, so we left it. Well, hang on, we didn't leave it. I'm going to go right from the beginning. I'm going to zip through very quickly. Kind of Queen's Indian thing. Abdusatorov castling queenside very early, and yeah, looks really sharp. Very sharp. Oh, that was a quick hit. So this is a very direct way of playing. So if rook takes rook, queen takes pawn, and queen takes rook. And knight f4. Okay, so Abdusatorov has sacked the exchange. And his king is relatively safe compared to black's.
And
okay, still, this still got to be very careful. Not easy to put this one away, but Abdusattorov managed to do that. He's threatening a check here.
Very dangerous.
And
here
okay.
is where the Black King gets hunted down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, looked like a mad game, but I think the crucial thing there was that basically right from the word go, Abdusattorov had the initiative. Castled queenside very early, pushed with f5. There was pressure on the centre, but also on these pawns on the king side as well.
Right.
Looked very interesting game.
Absolutely fascinating. And, well, I can see that the board pairings are up, which means that we are going to be beginning our final second match in just a few minutes. And do remember, WR Chess, defending champions, they won the first match. So, Kaz Chess, if they want to take the match to tie breaks, they must win on demand. And it's exactly the same situation for Hexamind. If they want to take the match to tie breaks, they have to win the match.
Well, I think we should keep our eyes,
of course,
on
the big one.
on the
I
final.
mean, the final. Of course,
Yeah.
we're going to have to see. WR Chess playing for an amazing amount of prize money. This is it. This is the World Championship title on the line.
So this could be the second year in a row that WR Chess win the Blitz. I mean, let's see. It's going to take a massive effort for Kaz Chess to hit back here against basically the favourites in the tournament. By quite a long way actually. So. Let's see. It would be great if they did manage to get it to tiebreak, actually. But how are we doing? When are we kicking off?
We're kicking off right now. You can see the players. They are getting in the zone. They are getting absolutely focused. In the previous encounter, it was a draw between Alexander Grischuk and Alireza Firouzja. But now there's been a shake-up in the WR Chess team because Nepomniachtchi has been brought back in. He's got the white pieces against his compatriot Alexander Grischuk.
Yeah, that was interesting. So who was benched in... Was Nepo benched in the last
Yes, he wasn't
round?
Playing.
So he's just had a bit of a rest and they're shaking it up. And this is the top team. So we've got Nepo, Firouzja, Nakamura, Vachier-Lagrave, Kosteniuk, and Rosenstein. Those are the big six.
Okay. How do you think Nepo will open? He's been opening with e4. It's been relatively successful.
Yeah.
And there we are seeing Alireza Firouzja, who is a candidate for one of our players of the day.
Oh, yeah, let's
His
look at...
incredible performance.
I'm just curious to see, looking at the stats. Yeah, Alireza has 7 out of 8 today. And let me see. Yeah, I mean, he's... Look, Abdusattorov has 6 out of 7. Also not too shabby. And there are a few others... there's a couple of others with 6 out of 7, but Alireza with 7 out of 8, certainly the best percentage score, and gaining a massive 16 ELO points, which, when you're so high rated, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Grischuk has, let me see, Grischuk is on 5 out of 8. I mean, he's actually winning a handful of ELO points, so he's also actually having a very good tournament.
Well, we are seeing on our cameras Nepomniachtchi, Hikaru Nakamura in white, and the handshake. This is it. The pressure has just begun, and there we're seeing is an Italian. Nepo is just playing true to his form. It's what he's prepared for this event. And there we're seeing castles now to d6. He's been very effective.
The gioco piano.
Yeah.
It's the opening of the moment.
And how he's been playing, he's been putting the queen out to b3, targeting f7. He's been going h3 here. Will he be doing the same?
Yeah, it's interesting that there have been a few situations where this rook has come here and it's gone well a5 and queen b3. Other players like to play b4 at a very early stage. Well, he's done it in this case, but it's a rather different kind of position. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes when you play an early b4, it means this rook can come to a2 and then potentially swing across the board actually. But okay, in this case, he's played rook b1, and sometimes you can push open.
Yep, and he's pushing open, but on the queen side, as he challenges the knight. Knight is going to take a step back.
You think d8,
D8.
Or a5?
Okay,
Yeah,
b8.
Oh, it's b8. Okay, he's going to bounce around via d7. Yep, looks very stable actually. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Now, are we going to see queen b3? Probably not. Maybe I guess an exchange on e6 and knight c4 or knight f1. Probably, I'm guessing knight c4. That's my prediction. Well,
we're seeing your first prediction come true, and then knight c. Okay.
Oh, push forward with d4. Interesting.
Okay. Knight to.
This is the thing with the gioco piano. It's very varied. Sometimes you can maneuver, sometimes you push forward, but it's very subtle indeed. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that Grischuk has actually a very stable position. This is a really nice setup because if this pawn ever advances, then black has control over c5. Taking here isn't a big deal. I mean, I would say absolutely fine for black. And that bishop is lurking in the corner, cutting down to the king. So far so good for Grischuk, I would say.
Yep. And remember, CAS chess, they need to win this match if they want to force tie breaks. And Alexander thinking about what to do. I mean, there's so many plans. One thing that kind of appealed to me was c6, but maybe you don't need to play moves like that. Maybe just focus on improving the worst placed piece. And yeah, look at that. Now the rook has come alive.
Yeah, love
it.
Makes a lot of sense. So there's a bit of action on the A file. Yeah, I wouldn't feel that comfortable with white. Okay, Nepo's played c4, but black has good control over these squares. Did he need to exchange off? Maybe he did because the knight was coming to f5, but still very comfortable for black.
And now a knight
with
can
control
deposit itself on c5, e5. Black is for choice. Challenging.
Yeah, good move. So I think that just kind of eliminates any danger of a rook moving down.
Yep.
I mean, this knight is a little bit passive, but I mean, there's not too much wrong with white's position at the moment.
No. And there we're seeing a trade.
Now, queen, where's it going to go? f3 or c2? I mean, I imagine c2 just to stop the rook coming down. Yep, there we go, queen c2. So he's managed to protect this pawn. I mean, everything looks fine. I would say neither side has too much to worry about here.
Yep. And I'm keeping an eye on the other boards, and so far it's looking good for Alireza Firouzja. All of the other games are roughly balanced. And so if Alexander Grischuk could squeeze out a win, obviously that's going to help the CAS chess come back, which is exactly what they need to do.
Grischuk trying hard. He's trying to create something, putting the knight on f4. But, well, no drama with the rook on the third rank, covering everything. It looks absolutely fine for white to me. Mm-hmm. When I say fine, still think it's
rock
even.
Solid.
Yeah, evenish.
And that's blocking out the bishop.
I think very sensible because, sometimes there are tactics. Sometimes even white, without the pawn on f6, could even push with e5. So that just stops anything advancing. Finally, this knight spinning round. So it might want to come to f5 on a good day.
Well, it's an interesting position because one doesn't quite know which side is actually playing.
Rook a4, good move. So that ties the knight down to the defense of the c-pawn. And then it's come
He's gone back.
back again.
And-
So a tacit draw offer, perhaps.
Yeah, I know. Nepo looked around when he saw that rook retreat. But Grischuk really running low on the clock. 27 seconds.
Yeah. Looks like could be heading towards a draw here. They're repeating the position. He's played it. Are they going to look into each other's eyes
I think they're going
and
to
come
look
to an
around
understanding? I think they might do.
and look at the captain.
Draw.
Who might say, it's okay, draw. And Alexander Grischuk claiming a draw. We have the handshake and first result in. Maybe we can move around. And there we're seeing Ali Reza Firouzja against Richard Reports. Now, Ali Reza was doing very well. Wow.
Strong pass pawn. And if he can just get one square further down, this looks pretty desperate for Rapport.
Is going to get to B2. One square away from promotion. And
Oh, there's a funny little trick there, actually. It's gone knight b4, and then basically, okay, we haven't got, on our graphics board, we haven't got knight b4 yet, but there's a back rank trick, which Firouzja has to be aware of. So it went knight b4. Now, if b2, then knight c2. So bishop takes f6 is by far the best
Safest.
move. Yeah, just making sure there's no back rank
yeah,
tricks.
and he's setting up B2 because you cannot capture that pawn because the rook will slide to B3 and pin. And Richard, well, he's fighting as hard as he can to save the point, but
That's a beautiful
That's a
move.
beautiful move.
Rook takes pawn, rook e1 check. Ali Reza is going to win this one.
He resigns.
resigns. There we go. So WR chess
they take the lead.
looking very good for them. Let's go to, let me see, Nakamura playing white against Yesipenko. And looks like Hikaru with white is better. Yep. The king blockades the d-pawn really nicely, and then it's possible to break open the position. And yeah, rook h6 coming. I mean, Nakamura is so good in these kind of technical positions.
And the players are just blitzing it out. So let's go full screen so we can have a better look at the clock. And it's a race. Hikaru just contemplating whether his rook can withstand the march of the a-pawn. And yes, absolutely.
Rook behind the pawn. The king goes to c5. The queenside pawns advance. And I think that should be that. Yep. So rook on a6. Make sure that the pawn isn't queening. And then advance the queenside pawns. Technical win. Hikaru down to under 10 seconds. Now c6 and rook a7 check.
And then, but the rook has to maintain contact with that passed a-pawn. So Hikaru dropping back with the king.
Okay.
And then dropping
Oh,
back.
very interesting.
Oh, that's a nice one. And now
Okay.
you can just capture
You
on.
capture and take on a2 and winning position.
The finger is moving furiously. He goes into the king and pawn endgame and
Game
just-
over. Completely game over.
Yep, now it's coming. He's got control. He's going to be much faster. And we have another point going to WR chess.
Okay, let's go to Maxime Vachier-Lagrave playing black against Aldia Ansat. And let me see. Maxime is a piece up. Whoa, it's very complicated, but I'm just tuning in here.
Well, Aldia needs to win this game.
Well, he's doing his best. I mean,
At the minute, the scores are 2-1. And if Aldia Ansat and Meret Kamilidonova win, then they will successfully take it to tie breaks.
this is really, really sharp. But you know, Maxime has an exposed king, and now the rook f1 threatened. Wow, he's dancing on the edge of a precipice. And I tell you what, Ansat is playing brilliantly. He's now threatening queen d8, but Maxime has broken through. And I'm assuming that there's going to be a loose rook somewhere, or
well,
he can keep the king exposed.
Can he not? No, he cannot hide on a2 because of the queen.
Queen d5 check.
Exactly.
That's game over. The discover check. I think he was lost anyway. Discover check, and the rook is going to take the queen. I think he was lost. Poor guy.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Maxime, he's a brilliant, brilliant blitz player.
And he's a brilliant tactician at that. And with that win, well, there you can see the hopes of Kaz Chess for taking it to tiebreak. But WR Chess team, well, they just, as you can see from the scoreboard, they are going to be the champions. The FIDE World Blitz Team champions. Well, in a field of giants, WR Chess team, they rose above everyone once again. What a score. What a tournament. What a performance there from the greats.
Well, I think in the end, you know, they really played themselves into form. And I think, you know, that final match, I think, underscored how well they're playing. We had Nepo, slightly difficult position.
There you can see WR Chess team, smiles on their faces,
And that's
high fives,
the
congratulations.
That's the sponsor, Vadim Rosenstein, who's assembled this team and
they did it.
Actually produced, certainly in the first of the matches in the final, he won his game. Yeah, he assembled this team, and what a team. Let's look at some of the individual scores, because if we have a look, we can see that Alireza Firouzja today scored 8 out, in overall. Yeah, today he scored 8 out of 9. We had Hikaru Nakamura scored 7 out of 9. So, you know, they really produced when it counted. Great stuff.
Absolutely great stuff. I mean, they just kept leveling up. The Blitz is their format, and there is just fantastic to see the relief on their faces, the joy as this team finally pull it together. And we're going to go straight to Charlize, who is there in the playing hall, just feeling the atmosphere. Charlize, over to you.
We are live in the playing hall where the FIDE World Blitz Team Championships has just concluded, and WR Chess are once again the champions. It was quite a scene here as MVL secured a clutch win in that last games. So that's it from us. Hope you enjoyed all the chess actions. The player literally ran out the hall. I think they want some rest before the wonderful prize giving we will have later. Until next year, see you then.
Wow. But you could just see the joy, though, the celebration on the faces, the relief as well. Because, I mean, this really was a field of giants, as I mentioned. You know, we had the best players in the world, ultimate speedsters, the very best of the best competing. And we saw from the World Rapid Team event that being the highest rated didn't guarantee you success.
Very true.
They didn't even medal there, but here they absolutely shone at this time format.
It was actually very convincing. I'm wondering about the third place playoff, and I can see that, I'm just looking now, Hexamind defeated Uzbekistan 3.5, 2.5 in that second match. So you're saying I've forgotten what happened in the first match. So does that mean it goes to tiebreak?
Well, let's have a look at the standings. The final standings. It was an epic clash at the end. And here we can see in the final, it was WR Chess Team that emerged the champion. So was it
No playoff
No
for third
playoff.
place.
Third
It's actually
place.
Hexamine won both games. I'm afraid it slipped my mind what happened in the first match.
Okay, it's been a very long and confusing day. But yeah, absolutely. Hexamine there in third place. Massive congratulations to WR Chess team and all of the medalists. What a performance. What an absolute legend of a tournament. Full of drama, surprises, twists, turns. It had it all.
And actually, I think somehow a really fitting final day. I think it all came together, and as I've said to the start, these top players, they know how to turn games around. They don't play blitz games that are absolutely perfect. It's not like that. They're not. Some of their games are crushes, but actually, very often, we see them coming back from actually very difficult positions. So it's not about opening play. It's not about, knowing so much theory. It's actually about just always believing that they can come back. And, that's what I find very impressive about, let's say, Alireza Firouzja and Abdusattorov and Nakamura. Although Nakamura, played very well, but by his really high standards, he's had better tournaments, but still, he did show his class, for example, in that final game, defeating Yestipenko, who's played extremely well in this tournament.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The players rose to the challenge. This is a very difficult format, and they use their wits, they use their nerves, they use absolutely everything to emerge to the top. And you mentioned one, Alireza Firouzja. He had an incredible tournament. Today, he really shone through for WR Chess team. So that is why we are giving him the player of the day. 8 points out of 9. What a performer for WR Chess. And again, what a team. Nepomniachtchi, Alireza Firouzja, Hikaru Nakamura. These guys are legends in the chess world, and they were assembled like the mighty Avengers here to take the ultimate prize.
And let's not forget the women's board. So that's Alexandra Kostyniuk. And then the recreational player was the sponsor Vadim Rosenstein, who, well, he had a bit of an up and down tournament, but he did play his part in several matches very well. So anyway, congratulations to all of them.
Absolutely, because in the end, it's all about teamwork, right? The team has to cover each other. They cover each other's mistakes. They cover each other's strengths. They motivate each other, and it's all about team spirit and just unifying together and just making sure that it all works on the chessboard.
One more mention. We should also mention Jan Gustafsson, who was the coach and captain of the team. Didn't play any matches. But Jan is, a professional broadcaster and coach these days. And yeah, he obviously played his part as well in their victory.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the captain now since its inception, since 2023.
Yeah.
He's been a captain. He's helped choose the team, give them advice, been there for them. We saw he was a constant presence for WR Chess team. But we got to give our congratulations to absolutely everyone. It has been an epic event right here in our home city of London. Danny, I'd like to thank you for guiding us through the action, the drama, the thrills, the spills, sharing your knowledge, sharing your power play with us.
Good grief. And likewise, it's been great fun commentating. And, thank you for everyone's watching. Does this mean we're actually wrapping up, or are we going to go to Charlize in an interview?
No.
We're not wrapping up?
That's all from us here at the World Blitz Team Championship. A big thank you from us here in the studio to watching us and just following and just being with us every move of the way. It has been an absolute pleasure. Stay safe, everyone, and until the next, goodbye.